And hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti, and I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host from the land down under. It's Geoff Blanchard, or as we call him, Double O Blanchard. And how you doing, Geoff?
Good, thank you, Rick. And nice to have a guest, and it's not just me and you rambling on. So
That's
I'll
true.
ramble on with somebody else today as well.
Yep, that's true. And this is our second show for TDO today, so we're making new records. So here we go. We've got a great guest. Here we go. This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation at www.relate.com, your training and video partner.
Hello, I'm Peter Baker. Please visit voiceovermasterclass.com to see details of the training courses I have on offer for new and existing voice talents to further their career by enhancing voice and technical skills, as well as essential marketing tips.
And in that center position of power, we've got Dave Mays, also known as Dave Altizer. But we're going to go with the Mays today, right?
That's right. I think the first time you had me on this show, I had
you were the Altizer, but now he's in his secret identity. So that's cool. A lot of people go, wait a minute, wasn't he Dave Altizer? Yeah, but now he's Dave Mays. But you said you had that name before.
Yeah, so the story is that when I started doing magic, which was my first real job, I was 14 years old. Dave Altizer was a little hard for people to remember.
Right.
So my mom actually said, why don't you change your name to Dave Mays, Prepare to be Amazed by David Mays. And I thought that was great. It was kind of corny, but also, you know, it's easy to remember. So I changed my name to that, and I stuck with that for several years as I did magic. And then I transitioned to just doing freelance videography, and it was just a confusing thing. So I was just like, I'll just go back by my real name, my birth name. And then all of a sudden, 3 years ago, I became a YouTuber, and I was having issues where I would meet somebody and they'd say, oh, what's your name? And I'd say, just search my name. It's David Altizer. And then they'd say, how do I spell that? What is that? How do you say that? And that happened so many times that I decided, you know what? I like Dave Mays. It was good when I had it originally. It'll probably be good again. So I went ahead and switched it back. So here we are.
You know, that reminds me of the old joke. There was a guy whose name was, and pardon my French, but his name was Joe Shit, and he hated his name. He just absolutely hated it.
Why is that? I wonder why.
Yeah. So one day he had it changed, and he's so happy now. Now he's Tony Shit.
Yeah, that's...
Anyway, old joke.
That's
Anyway.
a great one.
Now you had some drama in your life, and it had you had some wonderful stuff. You have a new child. Congratulations on that. We saw your podcast. 2-month-old already? 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, we have a 2-year-old and also a 2-month-old. So I've got
is both girls or girl boy?
They're both boys, actually.
Oh, both boys. So, okay.
Yeah, we got Ryan is the oldest and Caleb, the new one. And
that's cool.
Man, my wife is a trooper. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I think
that's a hard job.
I'm just so grateful to have her. Yeah, I mean,
it's a hard job. When people say you don't work for a living, yeah, you try being a full-time mom.
You work twice as much. I think
it is hard.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's why people who say full-time moms, they're just lazy. Oh no, they're underappreciated. So
absolutely.
Yep. And but no, congratulations on the new kid. And
thank you.
But there was drama. You lost Connor. You sounded so depressed when Connor. And I know how you would feel, but it was like, oh man, you were like, Connor's gone. It's like, and he went to Armando, right?
Yes. So for people who aren't aware, I have this channel Kinotika, and then I had a guy named Connor McCaskill. He was kind of my assistant / secret agent / editor shooter.
Yep.
And we're family friends. And about a year ago, we both actually moved here from Nashville to California. And so yeah, he's just been a part of my journey through YouTube. And unfortunately, just through some financial things, I just wasn't able to afford him anymore.
Yeah.
So long story short, he now works for our mutual friend Armando, and he's an amazing YouTuber.
Armando's cool. He's cool. I like watching his videos, and he's into the C200s and all the other stuff. But he's a really good. He's a good podcaster too. He does some great stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. We had him on the Golden Hour podcast, which is where I am right now. I'm in the Polar Pro Golden Hour podcast studio here in Newport Beach, California. So we interview photographers, filmmakers, YouTubers, influencers, all that kind of stuff. We just interviewed Sam Elkins. He just left, actually.
Okay.
He's an amazing photographer. That's the other thing I do as well. That's why I'm wearing my.
So how do you like California? How's that transition gone?
Oh, it's been wonderful. Everybody that I've met that is from here, that lives in this area, I tell them that I'm from Nashville, and they say, "Why did you move here?" It's really weird. All the locals want to move out of here because it's so expensive.
It's expensive and it's crazy, and we have a very odd government here, all sorts of weird stuff. But
absolutely,
it's got a lot of problems, but it is beautiful.
You can't beat it. The weather's unmatched. The opportunity as a creative here is incredible. I would say my career has really doubled, if not tripled, in terms of work and opportunities, just because of my physical location. So I highly recommend, if you're an American, to move to LA or New York. But also, if you have a family, maybe not.
Yeah,
I live in Orange County, so I am able to.
Well, Orange County is a little more different. So it's a lot more conservative than other parts of California, and it's a different mindset. It's also gorgeous out there. I mean, you're out where the beaches are, Newport, Costa Mesa. Oh, that's really pretty out that way. And if you notice, it's very manicured. Everything's almost perfectly designed. Mm-hmm. They really did a lot of urban research and planning when they built that area out, and it's cool. It's we have friends like I said. You do pay for it. It's not cheap, but it is pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Have you been down to San Diego yet?
I've been before, not since I've lived here. No, I haven't.
Because you're only like less than an hour from it.
Yeah, we're an hour away from it.
And you got Legoland, you got Legoland in Carlsbad for the kids.
It's true. That's a good point.
I've never been there, but I heard it's cool. Yeah, of course, you've got Disneyland only like another 20 minutes the other way.
Yeah, Anaheim. Yeah, not too far. It's a wonderful location. I love it.
Yeah, I like it out there too.
I haven't been over there for about 5 years, but I always said down that way, Laguna and Newport Beach, and then Los Angeles, and then up your way, Rick. It's like 3 different countries.
It is.
Los Angeles, up your way, Camarillo, and then down round Irvine, and all that's just Laguna. It's like you're going to 3 different countries.
It's true.
You can't believe it that Los Angeles and then Laguna and that path's so different. People say they all say it's all like Los Angeles as well.
Yeah, people come out to where we are and they just go, "This is part of LA." Not really, but we're close. We're 50 miles away, but it feels like another part of the world.
Not to mention Northern California, which really is like a different place.
Oh no, they're not even part of this universe. It's a totally different mindset. They've gone over the top. They've fallen over the cliff and don't even know it. But that's okay.
They should have split the state in 3 pieces.
I think they should. I'm one of those. I agree because, you know what? I think from a political perspective, not a political show, but we should break the state up because there's too much power in one state to screw every other state over. So
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
I think they should break it up because the 3 parts they're all very different. You go into, I guess Central California is very farming, conservative, very different, totally different. You go Northern California, they're on the edge of lunacy, and then Southern's kind of just cool. We're kind of normal, cool. It's not too bad.
What's his name? What's his name? Michael Savage. He calls it San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah, and he lives there. I know. He lives just on the other side of the Golden Gate. I go, wow, he puts up with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
That's where us in Australia can't understand that because Australia is so big. But pretty much from every other city, we're all pretty much the same. There's not a lot of difference.
Interesting.
You just said it's the same country.
So if you go to Sydney versus Melbourne, are people really that different, or are they similar?
No, the same, pretty much the same, and
Interesting.
The lifestyle's quite the same. Might be slightly different, but not.
Dave can tell you. you go to Nashville, you go to Orlando, you go to Charlotte, you go to Chicago. They're all 100% different.
Yeah. I go home and people are like, how are all those liberals treating you out there in California? And I say, I don't know. I don't see them. I live in Orange County.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And
it's a great. There's a lot of diversity here, and very, a lot of politics, a lot of taxes. But overall, I'm very grateful for this place, and it's still America at the end of the day. So.
Yep, that's true. That's true. And we've thought of moving out of here many times, and we keep going. It's so pretty here, and it's the people are fairly nice, and you go, I don't know. We're not ready to go anywhere yet.
Do you guys have a house?
We do. We do.
See, you want to sit on that? You could sell that and move to Nashville and buy a mansion.
We probably could, because we could not afford to buy our own house back. Let's just say that.
That's the thing. Is a lot of people in my age group, it's like, okay, I'm starting a family. I've got 2 kids and a wife. I can't afford $1 million house. I just can't.
Yeah, that's what happened to us. That's what happened to us is we bought the house at 400, which was at the high end of what we could afford. And now it's worth like 1 or 1.1 million. And we're like, can't buy it back. We can't sell it because if we sold it, we'd have to buy something we couldn't afford. So at that point, we would literally have to leave. We would have to leave, and we like it here. So,
I see all the shows that you see over here, and you see how expensive the houses are, and then you see some other ones, and in other parts, say like Houston and that, and you say they're buying a house for $150,000, and that's expensive.
I know.
Think, oh my God! So I wouldn't be able to buy a garage for $150,000.
That's crazy. Hey, before we lose the whole audience, going, what are you talking about? What? They're Californians. We hate California. So,
exactly.
I got a question for you, because you've tried a lot of different gear out, and I'm thinking of getting a new tripod for us over here. We've got some Benros, and we have some Manfrottos and some Ravellis from Amazon, but they're actually kind of fun. Have you ever had a Sackler?
No, but my friend Armando has, and he's tried to get me to buy that.
He's got the
Flow. Probably thinking about
the Flowtech 75, right?
Yeah, the one that has the.
It all goes down at once and comes up. Yeah,
unlocks all the legs. Yeah, I mean that's a luxury.
That's what I'm looking at. It's like $1,200-$1,300.
Yeah, over that button on B&H. It's like, okay, I guess I could probably sell a couple things and buy this.
Yeah,
I already have a great tripod. That's the only reason why I haven't. I highly recommend getting at least one solid tripod. It kind of just makes everything better. It's kind of like
which one do you have?
It's the glue that makes the whole shoot work properly. I don't know if that's even a metaphor, but the one that I have is one that Vincent LaFerre recommended back when he was big. It was a Manfrotto Pro carbon fiber tripod with the 701 head, I think. I paid about $1,400 for it.
Yeah,
and I was 19 years old at the time, and it was a big expense for me. And that thing has lasted me. I mean, I'm 29 now. It's lasted me a solid 10 years. It's still rocking. And I took that to Africa and all over the world doing the nonprofit work that I did. I wanted something that I could just take everywhere. And I found myself actually leaving my glide cam at home, leaving my slider at home, to learn how to utilize that tripod and get really good compositions and get really good fluid moves with that pan head. And I mean, you see it all the time with documentaries and news. They live on the tripod, so a good tripod is worth it for sure. But cameras obviously are getting smaller and smaller, so is it really worth spending that much money on a massive tripod when you're going to put a camera that's like a little mirrorless on there? Probably not.
No, you're right, not for those. But like
on Kickstarter, that comes in soon.
Well, do you still have your 1DX?
I still have my 1DC. Yes,
the 1DC. You've got the 1DC. Okay. Now that works well on that one, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's actually still a little small for the tripod that I have. The 701 is kind of made for like reds and kind of bigger.
It holds like 40 pounds, right?
Yeah. So I always think that it's better to have a tripod that can take a payload that's like way bigger than what you're putting on it than being like right up on the payload. So like if you have a 20-pound camera, don't buy a 20 pound limit tripod. Buy like a 40 pound, because if you have a tripod that's a little bit bigger and able to hold more, it's just going to make your motion that much more fluid and stable.
Yep.
So, but I did order that Peak Design one out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Did a order on it. It looks cool, but it's not going to be good for video shooters, really. It's more for photographers.
Well, I was looking at that Sackler. A friend of mine shoots with it in Connecticut, and I had a chance to just kind of play with it a couple of minutes while we were on break, and I was going, "Oh my God, this thing is so smooth."
Yeah,
it's we've got the Benro, which is nice. It's a pretty good Benro. It's got a good head, but it's not as smooth as. I mean, it's nice. It's more friction based. This thing has so many, I think, 10 levels of weight balancing, and I like the way. And I did see the Armando one where he shows it. You can bring all the whole thing down at once. I'll bring it all back up. And I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Oh yeah.
And that's I think like a 1,500. It's about $1,500, right? I think with the head or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like any comparison. You could do anything. I mean, you could do a Toyota versus a Rolls Royce. I mean, it's just they both do the same thing, but one is crafted by hand, one is machined well. Sattler is a company that's been around since like the beginning of film. Like they've been doing this forever. So
and some of them are like they have like $10,000 tripods. I was like, oh man, that's expensive.
Oh yeah. That's what the films use. So.
Yep, with the heavy cameras. Well, Tom Antos, right?
Of course, yeah.
Well, Tom's been on a whole mess of times, and he always says, people complain about, this doesn't have double card slots. It's not professional. He goes, that's all BS. He goes, you get those big Reds and the REs. He goes, they don't have double card slots, and they don't work half the time. He goes, and they're professional. So he goes,
that's true.
It's all just a game, and everybody's complaining. But he goes, these people aren't using $40,000-$50,000 cameras, and when they do, they don't work as well sometimes, and it's sort of interesting. And actually, I've been watching some podcasts recently. They were talking about, if you have a C200 or even an EOS R, and you get the right LUT, you make your footage look just like either a C200 or an RE Alexa, and you go.
Well, I think I mean, absolutely. I'm literally in that world. I'm reviewing all the new stuff, and it's kind of a challenge to review these cameras now because I get where Tom is coming from, but also because they're all so similar and they all are good. I do have to start getting a little nitpicky because it's like, well, this one doesn't have this, but this one has that. This one doesn't have this, and this one does have that. So, and I made a video about the Nikon Z6 yesterday that I'll be posting hopefully this weekend. That camera's been out for a year, and I don't know if it's aged that gracefully because Sony is continuing to make more stuff. Canon's prices have dropped, and I feel like more people are shooting on the EOS R than the Nikon. And the point that I made at the end of the video was this camera feels good in the hand. It takes great images. It's a great price point, but nobody cares because it's Nikon and nobody shoots on this. Like if you show up to a shoot with this camera, everybody's gonna be like, "Why do you shoot on that?" So,
it's in. Oh, go ahead, Geoff.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say it's all perception in a lot of these days. It could be the best one in that's made, but if it's not the one that's in there, like today, 4K video. If you're not shooting one that's a 4K video, well, get out of here. So.
Yeah. The other day we did a shoot, and Harold, you're still on mic-wise, right?
Yeah, I am still.
Harold was shooting with the Canon XF 705, which is their professional camcorder. It's a beautiful camera, and it's compatible with the C200, 300 in terms of color and everything else. And we were shooting in not the best lighting conditions. It came out really well. And it's non-interchangeable lenses, but still, it's great. It's got a really nice lens. Harold, what do you think of shooting with it?
I mean, I thought it shot really smooth. It gives you a lot of options that I guess higher end cinema cameras would give you. Like you can change the black pedestal, you can change a lot of stuff about the gamma curve. You can change. You can go in and tweak colors to an extent that you can't with some of the more the slightly less expensive professional camcorders. It has a lot of nice features. And
Now we shot in YDR, so we didn't go for log 3. It has log 3, so you could definitely shoot. And they said put any LUT in, you can make it look like an ARRI Alexa or make it look like a C200. It's like pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that. It seems like, I mean, that's at first glance the XF705 looks like, a news camera, like a camcorder, a pro camcorder. And I love that Canon, because of their cinema line of cameras, they're implementing a lot of those cinema camera features like the log, like the 10-bit and all that. And they're putting it in those cameras. Also, I feel like because YouTubers, because TV shows are looking more and more cinematic, news is going to have to start looking less like news and a little bit more cinematic. So a camera like this, like the XF705, you're able to have all the things that a news shooter cameraman is used to, but you can also get all the benefits of a larger chip. It's a 1-inch chip, which is a lot better than traditional in terms of depth of field and low light performance. Still no full frame, but it's better than most. So
isn't there?
But that camera's $7,000, by the way. It's not cheap.
No, $69.99 or something like that. Yeah, we bought it at the end of the year last year in December, about a year ago almost. But it's been good. And when we have used it, it just does a really good job. And
you can't
and
put that on a Ronin.
You could. I think you could. Yeah.
Ronin had.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't even done any stabilization.
You
We've
might
been
be able
pretty
to
much
move it might be able to move it 2 degrees before it hits the back of the thing.
That's right.
Yeah. But it's not made for that. It's made to be on your shoulder. It's made to be on a tripod.
That's right.
Right. Hey, so what do you like shooting with most right now?
So my favorite kind of like camera that I personally carry around with me everywhere right now that I love using, this is one of those, it's like, it's not popular, but it's my personal favorite right now. It's the Olympus EM1 Mark II. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen it. I thought you were going to say, when you said Olympus, I thought you were going to say the EM1X, I think, the big one.
Yeah, I did a review of that, and I did a lot. The only reason I liked it was because it had this amazing autofocus performance.
Yeah.
And, of course, the IBIS, which is amazing. But it was too big. It was way too expensive.
Is it that big? I've never held it, but is it actually that big?
It's big, but it's super lightweight because it's micro four thirds and it weighs nothing. So its looks are deceiving because it does look kind of like a 1D, but it's still actually nowhere near as big as a 1D. It just, because it's got that grip, it looks a little big. But the thing that I loved about it was it had this incredible autofocus performance, and the IBIS from Olympus is the best in class. I think Olympus actually licenses some of that technology. I might be wrong.
I think you're right.
Think created some of that technology that Panasonic uses.
Yep, I think you're right.
They're like the kings of that stabilized sensor. And the EM1 Mark II came out a couple of years ago, and it was it's an okay camera, but it was completely shadowed by the GH5 from video shooters because it had the exact same sensor with the same basic stabilization except 4K 60, log, 10-bit, all that kind of stuff that we all know and love about the GH5. Well, when I lost Connor McCaskill, my second shooter, I had to start shooting things solo. And the camera I was shooting on at the time didn't have a flip screen on it. It also didn't have very good stabilization. It was also a little big and heavy. So I was looking for a camera that was lightweight, that had a flip screen so I could see myself, and something that had incredible stabilization so I could just walk around and film stuff of myself and it looks like I'm on a gimbal or something. And right when when that happened, Olympus released a firmware update, the V2 firmware on the Olympus EM1 Mark II. Basically fixed the autofocus performance of the camera. When it first came out, the autofocus for video was not reliable at all. It kind of was jiggly like a Panasonic camera. But the thing that makes the Olympus, in my opinion, than the Panasonic is it's actually phase detect on the sensor.
I know, that was smart.
So through firmware, they were able to dial in the autofocus settings, and now it's flawless. It looks like a Canon dual pixel autofocus system. It locks onto my face. If I just point it at a subject, it's smart enough to know that what I'm pointing at is what I want to focus, and it nails it every single time. And what was amazing is around this time, Panasonic also released the incredible 10-25 f 1.7 constant aperture zoom, which is like the god lens for Micro Four Thirds.
Yeah.
For shooters especially, 10 millimeters is the perfect focal length for when I'm holding the camera right here and I want my face to be in the shot and not be like super tight and zoomed in. And then 25 millimeters is a 50 equivalent, which is obviously the perfect kind of normal focal length for everything else. So that lens plus that camera equals the perfect running gun camera for me. And it shoots 4K with no crop, obviously, because it's
Now,
not
have you
Canon.
ever looked at the, I think it's, is it 10 to 18 or 10 to 17 Olympus lens? It is
7 to 14.
7 to 14. I'm sorry. That I've got that one. It is an amazing lens. It should be completely fisheye, but it isn't. It's what do you call that?
Rectilinear.
Rectilinear. And it's just amazing.
I had a lot of flare. I had way too much flare with that lens. That's why I stopped using it.
But see, I like the flare.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it. And we should. But indoors, it's okay.
Yeah, and the f2.8 is amazing. But again, this Panasonic lens, it's f1.7 on my.
Nice, I know.
So it's an expensive lens, and it's a ridiculous setup. I don't think anybody else that I could ever think of, other than like a YouTuber, would want this setup. But
what are they charging for that one on the Panasonic?
The lens, I think, is like $1,600. It's way overpriced.
That's pretty high. Is it a Leica? Is it a Leica lens?
Yeah, it's a Leica, so it's got that Leica name attached to it.
Yeah.
But I love that pair, and I carry that around with me. And I have some small Micro Four Thirds lenses as well that I'll use for like photos of my kids or just run and gun.
Yeah.
And that stabilization is just incredible. So I can just hand hold it, and it looks like I'm on a monopod or something. It's
really good.
So,
right now I'm on the Panasonic GH5 with the 17, I think f1.7.
7.
Yeah, it's a really good little lens.
15? Is it the 15 1.7 Leica?
Is it the 15, Harold? I think it's a 15.
I
I think it is a 15. I think you're right.
Yeah, so I have that same lens. It's tiny, right? It's like this big.
It's tiny,
right?
and it does a great job.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's got great and bokeh. It's wonderful. So yeah, I use that for like everyday use, and then I have the big one for my YouTube stuff.
Which one do you use for the big one? The Panasonic or the Olympus?
The 10 to 25.
The 10 to 25. Yeah, nice. Is that a big lens?
My go-to. Yeah, it's big. It looks kind of like it looks like a Canon 24-70 or something.
Oh, that's pretty big. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's lightweight though. Somehow they just had to make the element big for the aperture, but it's fairly light. But I recently actually found a new shooter. His name is Jake. He lives in Riverside, and he's been helping me with my shoots with Kinotika. Now that Connor's gone, I had to find somebody else to help me, and he's been incredible. He shoots on Canon. He shoots on the EOS R.
Okay.
And I have an EOS R as well, and so we've actually I've switched back, if you want to call it that. That'd be a good title for a YouTube video, by the way. Switching back to Canon. That'll get a lot of views. But yeah, so we have switched back to Canon because he's operating the cameras. He's already got one, so we have 2 of them. I love having matching cameras.
Yep.
He's used that system. The autofocus obviously is wonderful on it, and of course the colors on Canon are kind of impossible to beat, right? At least that's objectively or subjectively, that's what people say. And I do agree with that. I think it's hard to beat the skin tones and just the out of camera look you can get from a Canon camera.
Yep. That's true. Well, you know what, Dave? Unfortunately, we have to cut the show. Well, not short, but we've started late, and Harold's going to be leaving in about 15 minutes. Okay. I'd love to get you back on again. We can talk about a lot more things and get into it, and always fun to see you. One of these days, we're going to head down there. I'll give you a call, and we'll have a coffee or something. Just hang out a while.
Please.
If you ever come up north, if you ever come up this way, give us a call. We're always around.
Absolutely.
I'll just jump on a plane just 14 hours away for a coffee.
You're close. You're close, Geoff. Just do it. Just do it, Geoff. You've got a place to stay with us. So,
if anything, I'd want to go visit you, Geoff. I've never been to Australia.
And the thing is that I can leave on a plane today and get this morning and get there Saturday morning and get there the same time.
I know. Isn't it amazing?
I can leave there at 11 o'clock this morning and get there at 6:30 Saturday morning.
You know what's funny, Geoff? One time I left Hong Kong. I was 16, right before I turned 17, with my parents, and my dad was with the airlines. We left Hong Kong on New Year's Eve. We had Christmas. We had New Year's Eve in Hong Kong, and then on the plane, the pilot said "Happy New Year." It was China Airlines, and he goes "Happy New Year," and we did New Year's again on the plane. So we had 2 New Years that day because it was funny. Yeah, you
That's
forget
amazing.
about the date change, the international date change.
I've heard of tech YouTubers, big tech YouTubers will fly to Australia and review a product before it comes out, and then in America they've got their video up 24 hours before.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's one of the things that's been actually quite good with us. A lot of the companies actually release them first here because they get here. And then, as I said, people come over here because we have or even New Zealand if they go, because that gets the day first. But a lot of them have been releasing them here. Then they get here first to buy it. And it's been very unusual. Apple releases something and we get them first. America's got them, but they haven't released them because they're not available until the next morning. So, anyway,
interesting.
That's one thing. We usually get everything else last. But
Yep. Well, anyway, Dave, you have a great weekend. We look forward to seeing you again. And
thank you. Happy holidays, everybody.
And Geoff, have a good one. If you're around tomorrow, I can probably give you a call.
Okay, we'll have a chat then.
All right, it sounds good. And Harold, thanks as always. And if you're watching, I hope you enjoyed the show. Feedback, if you'd like, hands up, down, whatever you want to do. And information on how to get to Kinotika below. So get a hold of Dave, and he's a great guy, and have fun with what he's doing too. Watch his channel; he does great work. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Hey.